Okay, here is the question that was asked. It's like, why is the retro art still facing upside down? And this one, you don't. So let's boot to emulator. This one originally was like that, all facing this way. So I used the rotation in config.txt and rotate it in a vertical direction, which is display underscore rotate equal 3. And I try to do that with this one, but what's funny is that this one work. This one is pi 3 with Mr. Bun image. It work. And I also able to get the Glenn's original image, the EmulationStation back. So you could still change the background. So it look just like the original with the track mode. But now the question is, let me show you what I mean. So if you go to option and you go to where's the let's just say we go to retro art. This thing will keep on coming off. Go to retro art, and this one retro art is rotate correctly. I'm trying to install all the chords because it's missing all the chords. So let's exit out here. This one I haven't done the GPIO, so I have to use the USB controller for this one for Raspberry Pi 4. So I'm trying to install all the chords. So let's just get out here for now, and then let's go check out the retro. Okay, so if I was to go to retro art, I keep on forget using that joystick. So everything is correct vertically. The track mode, everything's all correct. But when you go to retro, this one is correct, display it correctly, and this one is not. So the question is, how do I got this one working like this and this one is not? So let's look into it. Hi, this is Johnny Liu. I want to go over this thing a little bit more to explain what's going on. The question was, why isn't this rotating all vertically? Like you can see, this is rotating horizontal. Now normally you use the command on the config.txt, it will rotate everything for you, and that's what I did with Raspberry Pi 3. With Raspberry Pi 4 is a little bit different. Okay, this is a config.txt, and I'm looking at this comparing with this. Everything is in dark blue is not turned on. Anything is white is turned on. Okay, but I only have one keyboard. Okay, so I'm gonna go to F4 and explain to you what's going on. It turned out that you will have to use the not this one. You will have to use the rotation software that come with this system. Okay, in order to make it possible. So, but we're gonna go to F4 now. I'll explain to you why this thing, what causing this not able to rotate using the same command, rotate everything. So we're gonna go to sudo, we're gonna go to boot, okay, boot command, and I'm gonna remove one of the file, and then I'll explain to you. It will be easier to see in the right direction. Okay, so let's go down. This one, we don't want to do anything change to it. What change is actually take place is at the bottom. Okay, I even add this 2 line. It doesn't do nothing. Okay, this was something I see whenever you're using the Mr. Bun's configuration. It will add those to it after the rotation is been done, but we will do that last because I want to explain why this thing is not rotating. And if you take that line out, the emulation will not work. So that is the bummer of the whole thing. Okay, so what I did is I added this last line. Let me see if I can zoom in more. I added this last line at the very bottom. Okay, not this one. This is memory stuff, doesn't affect anything. But this one, dt overlay something for equal that. Okay, now if you take that one out, everything on the top, like the display rotation 3, it will work. Okay, so let me go ahead and remove this because since I'm directly here, I cannot add the pound sign. Pound sign is to mark it out, so it will run that file, but I don't have that feature built in. For some reason my keyboard will not do the pound sign. Okay, let me do Control X and then say yes. Okay, press enter is to save it over to the same file name, config.txt. Okay, and then we're gonna reboot it. Now here's the problem. After you reboot it, it won't boot up to emulation. It will just crash because it needs that file to boot up. Now for Pi 3, it doesn't need it. Okay, strange, but in Pi 3 you don't need it, and it will boot up fine. So see, now to see the lines on the top, so even the video is facing correct direction, and it's now in the right rotation. Okay, but if you try to run emulation, I already got to type out. For some reason it's pretty cool, it remember. So if I type emulation, it won't run, it will crash, it won't load. So you need that file, but the problem is once you have that file loaded, the rotation will not work. You will have to use the Mr. Bun rotation software. This one's a brand new Bun, 32 gig, but I'm putting it on the 1 terabyte. I almost formatted the one that I was doing. I almost finished it and then I formatted because someone asked me that why is RetroArt not rotating. This is why. Okay, so you really don't have a choice. All the game will rotate correctly if you use the rotation software that come with this. Now I don't know what Mr. Bun did, but apparently that's his conclusion, how to make it rotate vertically without people have to do it manually, like I did manually. Now this one I did manually on a Raspberry Pi 3 and it worked just fine. Everything is rotating correctly, even the RetroArt, but this one will not. Okay, so I just want to explain to you, even though I rotate it correctly, but it will not run the program without that line that I deleted. Okay, so going back to the bottom, now the video would not display correct rotation if I put it on top of display rotate equal 3. So that's the reason I have it at the very bottom. Okay, and let me zoom in so I could type this correctly because I don't remember the exact name because I just deleted. So as you can see right here, this is Raspberry Pi, Donkey Kong's Raspberry Pi 3 Plus. This line is marked out, so the rotation work, and it does not need that. So I went and add all this too, exactly like this, and it will not boot up until I put this line back in. And once this line is back in, the rotation will not work with the display rotate equal 3. That will stop working. So let me put that command back in here. Okay, so let me go over here and bear with me because I'm going to try to type this out dt overlay equal vc4 dash fkms minus v3d. Okay, so dt overlay equal vc4. Ooh, forgot the 4. vc4 minus fkms minus v3d. Okay, so I'm adding that in now. Press enter, and then I do Control X, and then press yes for saving it, overwrite it. Now I'm going to reboot it. Okay, so I'm back here. Oh, you couldn't see the very last line on the top. That's weird. Let me zoom back up. This one you could, but that one you could not. There you go. That's the last line on the bottom. You can't see it. That's weird. Okay. So what I did is I'm telling it to, that's the command to get into the config without going back and forth in the computer. This is to boot up the emulator, and this is to reboot. So we're going to reboot it. Now, the emulation will work, but the rotation is wrong. And so that is the biggest problem that I'm seeing. Oh, I should have taken the rotation out. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take the rotation out and then use the software. See, it's booting up in the wrong correct. The bright side is now facing this direction. So everything is going to boot up that direction. See that? And there's really no way around it. Okay, so what I'm going to do again is take out that rotation. Since rotation do not work, let's go ahead and remove the rotation. So I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom, and I'm going to put the rotation back after everything's rotated vertically. And see, because I don't want the system to mess up, because it's, you know, I want it to rotate using the Mr. Bun software to make sure it's rotate correctly. All right, so we're going to do Control X and press yes and enter, and let's reboot it one more time. All right, so now the software is not using the config.txt no more. It's using it's booting up like normal screen. So if this wasn't rotated vertically, this thing would boot up this direction. Okay, this direction. The light is over here, this direction. So once it's boot up this direction, we're gonna use the software to rotate it. And then after we rotate it, then we're gonna go back to config.txt to add that display underscore rotate equal 3, because 3 is, this is normal, this is 90 degree, and this is 180 degree, and 270 is right here. So that's why you want to say equal 3. 3 is 270. So that's 1, 2, 3. So equal 3. Display underscore rotate equal 3. All right, so we're going to use the software, not the keyboard. We're going to use the software to run that rotation thing. Okay. Now, we cannot see the screen because we don't need to see the bottom. See, that's the problem with this arcade, is that it's not, this screen need to be tilted more. You need to be tilted this way more. So, but if we tilt the screen more, then you're definitely going to have a hole right here. And so one way that they come around to fix this was to add the GRS space, which is a 3D printout. And right now I'm trying to get that printed out, but my daughter's 3D printer is having some issues, so it's printing out garbage right now. So it's not working at this moment. So I'm gonna go up the screen and lowering the camera angle, and then so we can see what we're doing. All right, so instead of having you guys looking at it like this, I'm gonna go ahead and rotate the screen so you don't have to look at it like that, okay? Okay, so if you get a Mr. Bun's image and want it to work, make it work, here, this is the step you need to do. Okay, first you burn it to a bigger hard drive, bigger SD card, sorry, and you have to go to rotate. I was gonna write out all the step 1, step 2 you're gonna do before, but this is just for that rotation issue question purpose, okay? So we're gonna go down using the USB, and we're gonna look for the word rotate. Okay. Yeah, with Mr. Bun, you also need to run the command, because otherwise, if something doesn't work and you wanted to change it, it won't let you. Okay. Alright, this is to config the rotation. That's the icon that you wanted to select. So you're gonna press A, and then you want to rotate to the right, not to the left, but to the right, because your screen is on this side, even though it's on the left side, but you want to rotate it to the right. Okay, I already tested. You want to rotate to the right. This is what it looked like once it's rotated. So for example, if I move to the left, let's see what the left does. See, the left will be upside down, okay? So you do want to rotate this way, even though it doesn't make sense, okay? But yeah, take my word for it, okay? Press A, and then here, this screen is only support 840 by 800 by 480, okay? So there's no need to change it the resolution any higher than that, because this display only support 800 by 480. So that's the one I'm going to use. Okay, press A. So it's copying, applying. Now your gameplay, your EmulationStation plus the track mode all gonna be displayed vertically. The only thing is not gonna be vertically is when you go to retro setup, RetroPie setup, or retro alt. Those two, you are not going to get a correct. You're gonna get a. It's still gonna face this side. Okay, it's not gonna be on this side. Rotate this side. It's gonna be rotate. Now, once it's configured correctly, it automatically default into track mode. Okay, so if you was to play any game, you won't have any issue. So let's play. Now I do realize that, I do notice that Mr. Bun image is sometimes it will have problem if you have more than one device plugged in. Okay. So let me go ahead and unplug the keyboard. And so it's best to configure the, I don't know that does it support the GPIO on this version. So I will have to try that. See, right now it just frees up. I don't know why. Okay. And I can't get out. So let me go ahead and reboot this. I do notice that this is the problem I'm facing, but I'm very close to finish it, so I'm going to make sure that do not happen quite frequently. And I think if all the setup is put in correctly, then it should be working good. Now I'm going to boot it back to I'm going to show you the game, and then I'm going to boot back to the not RetroArt, but EmulationStation to let you see. Okay, so let's just pick one and start the game. So all the game is going to be correct, and it's going to have a bezel on top like that, and that's cool because in Raspberry Pi 3 that did not happen. It does display the bezel, but it do not. The resolution is so big that you can't see it. That's the reason I decided not to have it. Just remove everything. Okay, so yes, this game worked fine. And then you could just play the game. Press insert the coin, start, and I'm using the spinner USB that Glenn's created with the base panel. Okay, so yeah, it played just fine. I'm gonna die. Alright, let's just get out. Okay, so yeah, the game worked great. This is the flavor that he have added on Mr. Bean size. He added those game, and we're gonna boot back to now. Before we, that's the only way I could show you the RetroArt and everything, because everything in track mode is all facing correct vertically. But once you boot to emulation, everything is correct mode, but the RetroArt and the RetroPie setup is all going to be not in the correct direction. And by even adding the rotate delay, it's not going to work because apparently it's avoiding. See, it boot up. It said it boot up just fine. See that? And you could go to the game and play and everything. It's just correct. But when you go to, for example, if you go to the RetroArt, it's going to boot up horizontal, not vertical. So just letting you know, I don't have a way to fix this. This is Mr. Bun's software doing setup. I cannot fix it because this is not part of RetroArt issue. It is part of the way it's set up, that it does not use the display rotate equal 3. It doesn't support it. So I'm going to show you by adding that back in to show you that it doesn't help because it skipped it for some reason. It just override the rotation. So now if I was to go to Raspberry Pi setup, because I want to install all the missing cord like Nintendo DS and PlayStation, all that, because this only support Final Burnout and 2000, May 2000. That's it. So it doesn't support any other setup, any other cords, or you could call it emulator. So I have to go to all the setup, and you could actually update the script. It doesn't hurt it. I did it several times. It doesn't hurt Mr. Bun's image. And you could update the script. You could update everything. Everything is fine. It's not gonna break it. But the problem is the rotation is rotating vertically, not vertical, horizontal. Because the screen, this is the bottom and the top of the screen, so it's gonna rotate this direction. All right, so let's get out of this. And then if you was to play the game from here, let me show you. Okay, it's going up and down. I want to go left and right. I'm having a problem again running. Okay. Let me press F4 And let's see if we could rotate this. Well, there's really no need to rotate. You guys just have to take my word, because I already tested several times, several hours. You might think this video is long, but I spend more time on this than what I'm recording. Okay, so right now my heatsink is running very good. It's still 46 Celsius. So the way I set up the fan and the heatsink, this system don't have overheat issue no more. Both of them don't have issue anymore. And this one is running Raspberry Pi, but it's using the ice tower. So the temperature on this one is better than the one over here. The one over here they make by the same company, but it's laid down fan. It's not as good as this one, ice tower. So ice tower is a better way to set up your console. All right, let's go back in here. And let's go back to the bottom and add the display rotate back to 3, okay? I didn't mistype it because we did test it without this line. Remember, we moved this line and then we did it without it. Display, can we upside down? Let me just retype it. Let me put my key finger in the right place. DISPLAY display underscore ROTATE equal 3. Okay, so we are putting display rotate equal 3, and that's normally should rotate, but apparently it doesn't. So we're gonna do Control X and Y, and then yes, and yes, and then enter. Okay, and we're gonna reboot it. Now that might, I did it so many times and I don't remember that's gonna mess up the EmulationStation. I know in track mode it's still the same, still display vertically. Okay, so it didn't do nothing. So let's go back to retro. Well, let's try a game. Let's just see if it. Let's try the first game. See, the game is fine. I think the battle still work in the EmulationStation too. Yeah, it worked. So yeah, the battle is fine. The rotation just got skipped. It just don't work. Okay. So let's get out of the game. So it didn't affect the game, but by rotating it, does it fix the retro art? I don't think so. It won't fix the Raspberry Pi config either. It's also still horizontal, not vertically. See that? So it doesn't do anything because that Raspberry Pi, the way he set it up, it just skip it. It doesn't utilize that command. Okay, so if that doesn't work, then retro art, this is retro art. Retro art will not work either. It's still gonna be displayed vertically. All right, but normally a normal person will not go in here unless you want to set it up, which I always go in there, but I have to look it upside down to fix this. But this will always stay like this, just so you know. So if you're using Raspberry Pi 4, one thing good is you will have your bezel on your gameplay for arcade, and you will get all that. But the only thing is that when you're in the setup, any kind of setup, you're gonna have that where this thing is upside, which is horizontal, not vertically. Okay. But everything else is gonna be good. All right, so I'm gonna go back and see if I go back to this. See, it just skipped that command. It doesn't do nothing. That command that I added doesn't do nothing. Yeah. All right, so that hopefully that answered that question of somebody's asking me, say, uh, how could I get it to the? You can. Oh, I forgot. Keep on recording upside down. Now you guys gonna look at the whole thing. Sorry, I forgot to rotate it back. But yeah, the track mode, everything is going to work fine. So let me get out this one. And let's just type sudo reboot. For Linux, you will have to type the word sudo whenever you're doing something. But not Linux, the RetroPie thing. But I think in a regular Linux, you don't have to. You don't need to. Okay. Yeah, so this one boot up just fine. Your screensaver is going to work just fine. So if you just grab the image from me and burn it and use it, you don't even have to do any setup. So it won't be a problem. But for people who want to go in and add their own game, do their own thing, yeah, it's a little bit hassle because you have to turn your head sideways to do anything. Okay. See, this one, everything is correct. So if I go to the option, well, the next question somebody's gonna ask me, say, well, Johnny, if that's the case, can we just remove it and do the same thing with Raspberry Pi, like Raspberry Pi, the way you did in Raspberry Pi? No, you can't, because the reason you cannot is because the way he set it up, you need that special file. And if you don't have that special file, it's not going to boot up with Mr. Bun image, because I just remove it and it won't work. So that's the reason we cannot. Okay. So that sad thing is no, we can't. So, but everything works. It's just that whenever you are in the setup, you have to look at sideways. Okay. Well, this one, Raspberry Pi 3, is just fine. Now, you say, well, that's not acceptable. Then don't use Raspberry Pi 4. Go to use Raspberry Pi 3. You got plenty of game here anyway. Use Raspberry Pi 3 instead of build it with Raspberry Pi 4. Because you don't have that much button. Support the game like PlayStation, all that. You only have 3 buttons. So 3 plus 1, which is 4 buttons. That's it. So why put Raspberry Pi 4 and give yourself a headache? Am I right? So, and plus Raspberry Pi 4 costs more than Raspberry Pi 3. Right now, Raspberry Pi 3 right now is selling it for $54 in Amazon. But I'll have to correct myself. The regular price of Raspberry Pi 3 Plus is not 55, it's 35. So I mistaken thinking it was 35. And Raspberry Pi 4, they have 8 gigabyte. That one is 75. But the other one, some of the other one is only I think 55 for Raspberry Pi, like 2 gigabyte or something. Okay, but yeah, the price is still very high up there for normal Raspberry Pi. But if you patiently wait, the price is going down because the company who make the Raspberry Pi are bringing more out. So they're not going out of stock. It just the demand is big now, because people was like afraid that they will run out of Raspberry Pi, so people are buying more. And then the people who reseller are the one who's hogging it and buying it, all of them. So yep, my select button is cool, is working great, loving it. All right, so you guys have fun, like Glenn say, Game on.